Hi there everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Joesephyr, and over the past week while I've been away I've discovered I'm actually not too bad behind the wheel of a boat. Welcome to this week's video for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, and today's Should You Pull video is going to be all about Basch. Now Basch gets a rework and an LD coming up on Monday, and it's going to be interesting to see how much it transforms him into a premier tank, because he gets quite a lot in this particular update. So if you want to know more about Basch and the event that comes along with him, then stay tuned and keep on watching. As always guys, don't forget to check out all of the social links in the description box below, including Discord, Twitter, Twitch, and of course Patreon. Twitch this week, I will obviously be covering Basch's event as it comes out. I've been playing catch up all week on Twitch yesterday, as obviously I've been away with no internet, so I've had to do all of my Noctis stuff over the past day or two. I have managed to get Noctis's LD with 20k gems, so it wasn't too bad, but I've yet to get his burst, so I'm hopeful for the next couple of banners. And then I will actually be streaming some Street Fighter V on Sunday. If you'd like to come along and join in with that, I'd love to have more people to play fighting games with. You guys know how much I love them and how passionate I am about fighting games, so it'd be great to try something a little bit different when it comes to Twitch. On Patreon, I shout out one of my patrons every time I release a new video at random to give thanks to those of you who decide to support the channel further, and today that person is going to be Arexu. So thank you very much for your support, it's massively appreciated. Don't forget to check out all of the websites associated with Opera Omnia that you can see all around here and in the description box below. And of course, don't forget to check out all the other content creators out there besides myself. So as always with the Should You Pull videos, we'll start by taking a look at Basch himself and the things that he gains from his rework and his LD. Now Basch is the only character that actually gets anything new out of this, but Noctis is still the burst that's available on this banner, so it's definitely worth looking at if you've managed to get the LD like myself but don't quite have the burst yet. But Basch has always been quite an interesting character. He's a tank-based character that's actually built around AoE damage. So what Basch's attacks tend to do is they will give him a buff which makes it so that if AoE group HP attacks toward the party take place, they instead of hitting all of your party members, they instead go to just Basch. So he'll take all of it, but he also reduces the amount of HP damage that he takes, and also has lock on his abilities as well, so that he can make target locks happen, stuff like that, so that he just can soak damage and heal it all back off again. But the problem that Basch had before now was that his buffs didn't really last all that long, considering he only got 6 uses out of Fulminating Darkness, which was the ability that gave him all of those buffs in the first place. Well, the rework makes it so that all of the stuff that he gets out of Fulminating Darkness now lasts for 2 turns longer, which means that you're going to have a much longer spread of ability uses between having to sort of refresh your buffs and things like that, so you'll be able to take advantage of the Kingdom Shield, which is the redirection ability, and the HP damage reduction and the target lock for that much longer. Ruining Pendant now gets 2 extra uses as well, and it also makes it so that it batteries the party, which includes himself, after he's dealt damage. So now not only is he able to heal the party, he's now able to battery the party as well, with a 10 total use count on a skill that's going to charge his EX nice and quickly. Now his EX, also Flame Purge, was also something that granted party auras for max bravery and attack, which is obviously the ones that you want most, and it also had a relatively quick sort of recast rate, and hit pretty hard as well. But his LD is where we really want to be looking. Now his LD takes Basch up to another level. It's much better for him than he was before. So Indomitable Palisade is a Brave HP attack that deals split damage, so nothing special in terms of the actual damage dealt, but 8-hit AoE Brave HP isn't terrible with 200% max overflow. It also refunds some of the bravery that he gets back from his damage, so now that Ruining Pendant does this, and so does his LD, then he's able to keep his bravery up quite nicely. It also inflicts all of the inflicts lock onto the enemies for 5 turns, and it also gives him the buff that he gets from Fulminating Darkness as well, so that's more skill uses that are going to give him even longer periods of times where he has these buffs up. But it also gives him an extra buff that's actually really nasty, which raises his attack, raises his Brave Overflow limit on everything he does, also makes it so that if he ever takes an HP attack that takes him under half health, he just gets his health restored back to half health. So unless an enemy kills Basch outright, which is very difficult to do given that he reduces the amount of HP damage that he takes, he's now able to just kind of make it so that it's extremely hard to kill him. With Power Stones as well, it also raises the party's offensive stats, which is great. He gets a brand new HP attack ++ and Brave attack ++, which the Brave attack is a party battery, which is always nice. And then HP ++ gives him a 3-hit Brave HP, which is fairly standard at this point in time, but it also party batteries and heals him. So now his HP plus is definitely on par with others that we've seen, you know, in recent months, things like that. So he's definitely a lot more powerful in general because he's able to dish out damage. He's able to obviously just sit there and grant the party sort of max bravery and attack through the nose, whilst also being able to take these hits, heal himself back up again, and he's just going to be able to keep going and going and going. And his longevity, which was his primary issue before now, has now very much been fixed. I think Basch is actually a very strong character to grab hold of because he has a unique niche. He's not like other tanks, like Warrior of Light, 9, they're all about shields and things like that. Galoof, Edge, all about evasion. Basch is more like Porum in a lot of ways, where Basch is more about protecting the party than just himself. So his stuff is all about like warding off AoE damage and making it so that he's able to just sort of like redirect damage to himself, because then he's able to just kind of heal it back off again as if it was nothing. And his LD actually just makes that an even stronger thing, and because it's more unique than a lot of tanks out there, I definitely think Basch is worth looking at. So moving on to the event itself, let's have a look at what we can expect from the Chaos event for Basch's Lost Chapter. So the main boss here is going to be the Might Eater, which is an Ochu variant that is going to... The main gimmick of the Might Eater actually isn't much of a gimmick at all. It hits really hard and it hits a lot. Like, it does a lot of AoE, HP damage very frequently, which is obviously designed for you to want to take Basch in order to be able to soak up a lot of that damage. So you need to be careful here because they'll tend to do large gravity brave damage followed by AoE HP attacks, and not only that, but they're going to do, because of the small Ochus, the micro Ochus that come along with it, you're going to expect to take a lot of HP damage over the course of the fight, as well as a max HP down aura that is inflicted at the start of the wave. So basically you want to make sure you're able to heal as much as possible, whether that be through Basch. Porum is a great alternative to Basch in this particular situation. Paladin Cecil, by having the ability to kind of ward off damage, like take less damage but also heal. Gabranth with his ability to make it so you take less damage as well. All of those guys, anything that makes so you take less bravery or HP damage and are able to kind of heal things back off again is going to help you a great deal here. So in another way, you could also try and make it so you're not taking damage at all. Like Galoof, a lot of the attacks are physical, but there are magic attacks present as well. So Galoof, while really powerful here, isn't someone you can rely on quite as heavily as you would normally. Then you want characters that will just deal a decent amount of damage. Like Varn and Noctis are two of the synergy characters for this. If you've got either of their bursts, then you're gonna be fine for a large portion of this. But Trey actually works very well here as well. I wanted to mention Trey because because of the Might Eater's ability to just gain a load of bravery and then dump it at you, having somebody that can like interrupt in between those turns and be able to kind of go, no, you don't have as much bravery as you want to have, is going to help a great deal. Leon, like many fights recently, Leon does absolute wonders here because the enemy attacks aren't elemental, so you just need to bring Leon, bring a Darkstream, you're going to soak up a lot of bravery hits and you're just going to gain bravery instead. You can't just rely on Leon because a lot of the enemy's attacks are gain bravery, then HP, but it's going to help you like not take breaks and things like that substantially. Leon can also heal, he can work as a secondary healer as well. Then the other alternative you have is that you can actually just cheese the fight with delay, etc. So if you want to bring characters like a Miditalian or Quistis, or like you turn manipulators like Noctis Burst has just come out, people want to play with Noctis, and that's fine. He will do you extremely well here. The enemy is also weak to all of the elements that Varn happens to bring along, so fire, ice, wind, things like that. So you can use Varn and him work absolutely fantastically. Leon is, obviously the enemy is already weak to dark as well, which is handy. I mean, I would like to suggest Edge here as well, but from what I remember, the enemy actually resists thunder, so Edge is fine if you want to use him as an evade tank, but you can't rely on the thunder damage unless you have a method of imperiling thunder at the same time. But given like the hassle we had with Odin, unless you wanted to use the cheese tactics for Odin, Basch's Lost Chapter is actually a bit of a welcome kind of reprieve. So now we come along to the big question of the video: should you pull on Basch's Lost Chapter banner? I think that Basch is actually a really good character, just generally, purely because tanks are a bit of a commodity. Like, tanks don't come along all that often, even though we actually have a few coming up soon. Like, 9 is one next week, Warrior of Light will be coming at the end of next month, Gladio will be the month after that. But none of them quite function the same way that Basch does. Basch is all about soaking up AoE damage, whereas the others are more about sort of shields, evasion, counters, things like that. Whereas Basch kind of beats to the sound of his own drum, and he does things his way, which I really like. And if you don't already have Noctis's burst, it's still a really, really overpowered burst. Like, if you're gonna pull for anything and you already have the LD, which is the situation that I'm currently in, then Basch is a great character for you to pull on. I think that he's got so much going for him, and his damage output's actually pretty good. His auras are really helpful. He's got a lot of positives to him and not an awful lot of negatives for this point in the game, considering how unique he is. As a matter of fact, honestly, if you're completely spent after Noctis's banners, like if you had to pity the burst, or if you had to pity the LD and the burst, or something like that, then you could save for, say, 9 Gladio or Warrior of Light if you wanted to. The characters that come along with Basch aren't that great. Varn has literally only just been, but I mean, if you have his LD and don't have his EX, then that's a reason for you to pull on this banner. And Sarah at this point is really dated. Like, Sarah hasn't been great, like great for quite a while. So if the surrounding characters aren't that appealing to you, then maybe you could consider not pulling here. But honestly, I think that Basch's LD is really strong. And when he gets his LD boards much later on down the line, like I think JP's only recently had them, he gets even stronger. So I honestly just like Basch. There's nothing really there that I just dislike about him. So that's going to be all for today's video. Thank you very much for joining me today. Don't forget to come and find me on stream if you want to see me clear Basch's Lost Chapter with some of the characters that I've recommended. Hopefully I can get myself Noctis's burst while I'm using tickets to get Basch, because I don't want to use gems after having just used them for Noctis, and hopefully we can all get lucky. So good luck to you guys if you are pulling for Basch, and I wish the best for you. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video out, and of course click on that bell for any notifications on future Dissidia videos I might be making, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next one. So take care, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!